welcome. Wednesday, 2nd of January, 2013. Happy New Year. Hope it's a great year for you, for me, with our creativity. Anyway, I'm just carrying on making some pots for towards my exhibition in March in New York. So even though it's cold out here somewhat, it's about 55 degrees, we still have got to get out here, haven't we, and put in some hours and make some work. So anyway, I'll just show you some forms that I've just been working on this morning. Let's see if we can get I'll bring the camera down a bit here on the old tripod. These are some, well, they're tiered bowls, that's what I call them. Although they're a bit dark on the underside because the light is shining. But if you can see, they've got these indentations, well, from the inside pushing out, which gives the profile. Maybe best show you those when they're finished. And this one is similar, except this is convex here and there, whereas these other guys, they've got a slight point there, you see. Anyway, they're going to be trimmed, of course. And right now I'm actually wanting to throw a bottle form with a closed-in neck. So this is 3 pounds of clay. In a way, it doesn't really matter. If you've got a good shape and a good form, it doesn't matter whether you make it 1 pound, 2 pounds, 3 pounds, 10 pounds. It doesn't really matter, because if it's a good form, it's a good form, isn't it? Whatever size it is. All you've got to do is just make it in proportion, just bigger. Anyway, what I'm aiming to want to do is make a bottle so tall, coming up with a narrow closed-in neck. Let's see how we go. I've got some warm water here. Not too hot, but just right. My mirror over there. Getting the clay attached to the wheel head, you see. Down here, that's very important. We get it stuck down. My pinky fingers here, you see, they make that join. So I'm coning up, and then I'm now centering down, bringing that clay into submission. Or we hope into submission. I have, of course, given this about 100 turns spiral wedging. Okay, so we've got to get that lump of clay on centre, haven't we? That's vitally important. Now I'm going to go breaking in, getting down into the bottom there. I'm looking for a base thickness probably about 3/8 of an inch. Wheel speed, not too fast, just nice. Now I'm broadening the inside at the base. You see, what I've got to do is basically throw, using the skill that I have to be able to throw a cylinder. I'm using that skill to lift the clay. That's why it's so vitally important to know how to lift clay. Alright, I'm now I'm compressing it in. Compress the rim. Do that, it'll bring a lot of good health to your pots if you compress the rims. Okay, and I'm now going to just bring this clay up nice and easy. But you'll notice it's, as I lift the clay, it's like a little volcano, isn't it? Or a nuclear stack. Joining my thumbs together, pulling the clay, gaining height. Watering, spreading the water, you see. Make sure that you spread your water. Now I'm going down into the base, fetching up that clay. Keeping it narrow at the top. Yeah. See, before every lift, I'm going to make sure that I've got enough water to carry me all the way to the top. And not just on the outside, but on the inside as well. I'm pushing in now with my outside hand, reducing the diameter, creating that bulge. We're lifting that bulge. All the way to the top. What I'm going to do now is I've got to be mindful that I keep it a little narrow at the top here, more narrow than I have it, because you see I've got to think ahead for the neck and for the top. Alright, so we're starting that, we're preparing for that now, you see. Just get my hand in, you see. Now I've got to get it a bit more, I've got to get a little more height and start to form it now. So we're getting a bit more height, but I've got to keep it narrow at the top. You see, as potters, we're engaged At least I am. I mean, I expect you are too. It's just kind of a struggle, isn't it? We're involved in a struggle. It's not straightforward. I have to wrestle with the clay. Now, okay, I'm putting in some belly now, trying to give it a bit of belly. You see. Okay, well you see it's quite ribby, isn't it? And I want to make it a little bit more clean looking. So I'm going to use my throwing stick up the side, you see, cleaning off that slurry, sharpening up the shape. Okay, I've got to get it in at the top. I'm not happy with that yet. So I've got to narrow it. Oops. You see, now that can happen, can't it? It's a little thinner up here than I wanted it to be, really. I'm going to close it in a bit. I'm going to have to be careful though, because he's got a bit of a weakness here, hasn't he? I need to practice these a bit more actually, because this is the first one I've just having a stab at making. And you know, like anything else, there's a learning curve, isn't there? Each pot that you make, the very first one you practice on, don't you? And then I'm not actually getting this as I really wanted it, because what I wanted to do was have enough clay at the top here to form the top of the pot, and I let it get too wide here, because in my mind's eye I never really had it being as wide as this. I had it more tall and slender, and I've let it get too wide, which has taken away my clay, and now I'm left with not enough clay to finish the top. Whoops. And now I've jabbed my thumb in the side of it, which wasn't very clever. And now it's beginning to collapse. Oh dear. Can I do a quick remedy? Well, I didn't do a very good job, I'm afraid, of that one. Combination of the clay perhaps being a bit soft, and also, as I say, I let it get too I extended the clay out, you see, and as it gets fatter, so the wall of the pot gets thinner, doesn't it? Consequently, when I came to want to close it in, it got weak, and the softness, it buckled, didn't it? That's the way it goes sometimes. Yeah. Well, this one is a goner. So what I'm going to do is cut him off. Now, I've got another piece of clay over there. I'm going to quickly get that and see if we can throw another one. Hang on. Let's see. Okay. Let's try to quickly get back to where we were. Okay. So we've got about 3/8 base. Keep it in at the top. Come on. Come on. No, I mustn't let it get too fat, you see. Sometimes we get careless, don't we, and we accidentally knock the pot. Do you ever do that? Okay, well you can see I've not got it quite so wide. What I've got to do now is, using my 6 points of contact here, I'm going to restrict it and bring it in here at the top, you see. Of course it's getting thicker. The clay is bunching up and getting thicker there in the wall. So now I'm going to bring the clay up here. Now I'm gonna try and squeeze it. And bring it up a bit more. Okay, now let's just have a look at the shape, because that's the all-important thing, isn't it? Is get the form right, getting the shape right. Well, obviously he's a bit wide at the base at the moment, but that's okay for now. So I'm just going to use my throwing stick on the side here just to clean the slurry off and kind of sharpen the shape a little bit. You see, you can make allowance. Like, I know that this pot at the moment, if you look at it, you think, well, it's a bit wide at the base. But that's okay, because I'm going to bring that in a minute, carefully. Before I do that, I'm just going to work a bit more up here on the neck here, because that's not finished yet. So I want to gather a bit more clay here, slowly bringing it in. You see, once you've brought the shape up and then you've closed it in and you've formed a neck, that braces the pot, you see. This neck now is bracing the whole of the pot, giving the pot strength. So once you've got that in and you've created that, you see there's an angle there, isn't there? That angle there is bracing the top of the pot, giving the pot a bit more structural strength. And once I've got that in there like that, I can begin to start working further down here on the belly, gathering up more clay. If you see what I'm doing now, I'm using my 6 points of contact. Alright, and as I'm working here on the shoulder, it's being braced here. Taking a bit more of that clay up. And then I've got to work here now on the top. I need my throwing stick. So I'm using my throwing stick with my finger a little bit on the inside as well. Alright. Keeping that a little bit thick on the edge here, because what I want to do is I want to flip him over in a second once I'm happy with the neck here. So I'm going to take that now, I'm going to pull it down over my finger, you see, like that. I'm going to keep this fairly flat here like this, okay? Using my throwing stick again here. Cleaning the top, shaping it. Maybe I'm going to get off the wheel, you see, here right now, and just to better understand to better understand what's going on. Okay, now I'm going to think about the base. Are we still going? Is that camera battery still alive and kicking? Or has it died? Oh, it's still going. Alright, well, okay, the form is okay until you look at the bottom, because the bottom, the shape doesn't have any lift, does it? It feels like it's stuck on the ground. So I've got to narrow that, which will give the shape more lift. But I've got to be careful what I do down at the bottom of the pot here, because that can affect the top of the pot. So if you have a tallish pot and you go in a bit heavy at the base, you can throw the pot off centre. So I've got to use my throwing stick, and I'm wet trimming, you see. I'm trimming the pot with the throwing stick, narrowing the foot. Putting in a bevel, using my throwing stick to help me. Just here at the top, I just make the edge of this, just the edge there. I make it at an angle like that, because that reflects on that angle there. You see? So you get a bit of relationship building up between the top and the body. It's all part of the same family, you see, so you've got to relate it. How do you get on with your relatives? Okay? I'm checking in my mirror. You see, when I put the bevel in, it undercuts the pot, doesn't it? That gives the pot lift. See, you've got to understand a few of these things, and then you can get your pots more like you want them. So it's a long gradual angle here, isn't it? And then it sweeps over it. Now sometimes you have to work at this a bit until you're happy. You've got to be careful though not to throw the pot off centre. If it does go off centre, it's not really that the pot has gone off centre. It's just that it's just got moved a bit, you see. In which case you can just pull it back. Not too difficult to do that. All right. We'll leave it at that for now. Going to use my lever here on the top. And there it is. I hope that's helped you a little. Some of the mechanics there of trying to make this kind of pot, and some of the mistakes that you can make, as you saw me do. But we're all capable of making mistakes, but mistakes can be stepping stones to learning, can't they? The secret is, don't give up, but keep practicing. And it's like anything you do, if you practice it, you'll improve. Go to my website, simonleachpottery.com. and check out there. We've got pots and tools and wheels and this, that and the other. And have a great new year. See you soon. See you in the next clip. Bye bye.